What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. And you might notice from the community postings that I've been putting up quite a few Patreon videos today, trying to catch up over the Patreon. I've been a little bit behind on that one. Like I said, I want to make sure that you guys are getting your money's worth when it comes to, more than your money's worth, actually, when it comes to the Patreon. And I really encourage those of you all who support the channel to come over to the Patreon. You know what I'm saying? I know people are in, we are all of us are in a tough situation. But if you're able to, please subscribe to the Patreon for only $2 per month. And over the Patreon, I'm able to talk about stuff that I can no longer talk about on YouTube for obvious matters. YouTube has cracked down so much on the supposed free speech platform that we once had on here. We can't really do it like we used to, and I can't talk the way I want to on YouTube. So if you really support this channel, if you are able to, because I know some of you guys aren't able to, that's fine. But because I will still put free content over here. But if you really want the Too Raw for TV vernacular, then come over to the Patreon for only $2 per month. Okay, and it's not that's not $2 a video. That's $2 a month. Okay, so let me give a shout out to two of my contributors. One of them, Elijah Merritt, for his contribution to the channel. All right, I want to shout you out, Elijah, a long time and the most prominent, in my opinion, contributor to this channel. I saw that you, I think you gave me like a request for a video. I'm gonna have to come back to you immediately after this video. All right, so I will look at that again. And I also want to give a shout out and a response to Luis for his contribution to the channel. And he asked me to do a couple of videos. He wanted me to do a video talking about the situation with Craig Hodges and his criticism of Michael Jordan for The Last Dance. And he also asked me to do a video talking about, what was the other thing he mentioned? Something else dealing with The Last Dance. What was it? Give me a second. I think it was the situation dealing with LeBron James and the rumors regarding his infidelity. I think that was the other topic that he mentioned. And I've already have done videos over on the Patreon regarding those two topics, but I didn't talk about Charles Barkley. So I will talk about that here on this channel, since it's not really that controversial a topic, you know what I'm saying? So, as we all know, well, most of us know, Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan are no longer friends, okay? They were once good friends, apparently, all right? But that ended when Charles Barkley criticized Michael Jordan's performance as the owner of the then, I believe, Charlotte Bobcats several years ago. It might have been 2012, 13, somewhere around that time frame, I believe. And it was since then that Michael Jordan has ended and severed all ties to Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was recently on ESPN 1000 in Chicago. Appeared on the Waddle and Sylvie show. I don't know what the fuck that is. And he said that in regards to, the friendship ending between the two. He said, quote, "The thing that bothered me the most about the whole thing, I don't think that I said anything that bad. I said, I'm pretty sure I said, as much as I love Michael, until he stops hiring them kiss asses and his best friends, he's never going to be successful as a general manager." And I remember pretty much verbatim I said that. And the thing that really pissed me off about it later is Phil Jackson said the exact same thing. Barkley was shocked that Jordan took his comments the wrong way because while he was being critical of his longtime friend, he thought that that's what was valued in their friendship. Barkley goes, "Listen, if you're famous, and Michael at one point was the most famous person in the world, everybody around you is either on the payroll or letting you buy drinks and dinner and flying around in your private jet. Very few of your friends are going to be honest with you. But I thought that was one of the reasons we were great friends. Like, I can ask Charles anything and I know he's going to give me a straight answer. But part of my job as an analyst is because I can't go on TV and say another general manager sucks, and then just because Michael's like a brother to me say he's doing a fantastic job. That would be disingenuous." Okay, he said, the guy was like a brother to me for, 20-something years. At least 20-something years. And I feel sadness. But to me, he's still the greatest basketball player ever. I wish him nothing but the best. But there's nothing I can do about it. And then he went on to say, if you want to repair their relationship, he's got my number. He can call me. So, how do I feel about this one? Well, I've always sided with Barkley more so than Jordan in this scenario. All right, I've always sided with Charles more because although apparently they were friends, and I keep saying apparent because there's some things I've been reading recently that and some things I got to take into account that makes me have to reevaluate that. But apparently they were friends. And Charles truly believed that. I know that, right? You can just tell that Charles Barkley really felt like they were true friends. I don't know what type of mindset Jordan has. Maybe Michael, I get the impression Michael doesn't like to be called out on shit. He has an ego. And Michael's the type of guy, as we can all see from his Hall of Fame speech, all the things that made him the greatest player of all time in most people's eyes is also one of the things that makes him viewed by many as a tremendous asshole. Okay, and not a great person to get along with. Most of Michael Jordan's teammates did not find him to be a pleasant person to be around, especially when they were losing. Okay? Michael harbors grudges and still holds resentments for things that happened decades ago. So, knowing his type of personality, I don't think he's ever really going to forgive Charles Barkley for what he feels is a public embarrassment. Being told that you're not good enough. Because look at this. Because look at the history of this, okay? Michael still holds resentments toward the high school coach that said that he wasn't good enough. He still holds resentments towards him. Michael still holds resentments toward all of the sports writers and journalists who said that he was a scoring champion and nothing more. Wasn't good as Bird and Magic and Isaiah. Okay? He still holds resentments to people who felt like that 30 years ago. You would think that he'd be able to get over that and get past that by now. But no. And I think a lot of it is he knows that Charles Barkley was correct. Charles Barkley, and I know a lot of people don't like Charles Barkley, but in that instance, Charles Barkley was correct. Okay? The then Charlotte Bobcats and now the Charlotte Hornets, they have been at best mediocre. At times, they've been bad. They haven't made the playoffs in, I think, 4 years. And they just recently lost their star player to free agency. Michael is not and has not been the most successful owner in the sport. He hasn't. Okay? That's just a fact. And I think that, knowing Michael's psychology, in all honesty, I'm going to make a prediction. Just from observing and reading about this guy for years, I wouldn't be surprised if next year, if the Hornets went 55-27 and they made the playoffs and they had a great run, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden he calls Charles and says, "You think I suck now?" And that'll be like his way, for some odd, twisted reason, that's his way of saying, "I'm sorry," you know what I'm saying? I'm just competitive. I couldn't deal with, what you said, blah, 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 blah. And they'll be cool. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens between the two. Michael's a weird fucking, almost a sociopath type guy. He's like, he's not sociopathic, but then if you get on his bad side, you see a different person. Like he said in the interview with Amar Rashad, he said he doesn't have a gambling problem. He has a competitive problem. There's something a little off with Michael. But that's what I think primarily. You know what I'm saying? I think that he knows Charles Barkley was correct, but his ego, his pride, won't let him sort of, it won't let him accept it. And also, there's a little bit of a hierarchy thing. Charles, to Michael's viewpoint, is probably a somewhat inferior player to him. Okay? And it is hypocritical, and it would piss me off if I'm Charles Barkley, if Phil Jackson said the same goddamn thing, but he still has the utmost respect for Phil. I don't know what that could be. It could be, Phil was his coach. So he's used to getting criticism from Phil Jackson, but not from a guy that he feels was a lesser player who never won a championship. That could be an aspect of it as well. But I want to say something else, too, as I conclude this video. And this was when I was saying that apparent friendship. Remember when Scottie Pippen joined the Houston Rockets during the abbreviated 99 season, right? The lockout year. And Scottie Pippen and Charles Barkley did not get along that particular season. And Scottie Pippen, afterward, as he was going to Portland, he talked about the Trailblazers. And as he was talking about that season with the Rockets, he said that I should have listened to Michael and never played with Charles. He said that Michael told him that Charles doesn't have the commitment and the dedication that's needed to win a title. And I believe that Michael Jordan told him that. Charles said that he called Michael and Michael said he never said that. I don't believe it. I think that he did tell Scottie Pippen that. And I also heard a story, because I know that The Last Dance is focusing on that time period when the 92-93 time period when Barkley and Mike played in the Dream Team and they played against each other in the finals of 93. I remember reading a story, and I think I talked about this recently on my channel. There was a story where just before Game 4, okay, of that series, I think Game 3 was the triple overtime game that the Bulls lost at home. And I remember reading that after that game, Michael and Charles hung together. Okay, I think they played golf during the downtime between the two games, and Michael brought Charles a $20,000 ring to show the meaning of their friendship. I think that Michael realized that Charles wanted Michael's adoration and approval as far as the friendship dynamic that they had, okay? And for Michael to go out and do that, it's like, you know what I'm saying? And one of the assistant coaches, I can't remember which one it was for the Bulls, might have been Johnny Bach. Johnny Bach, when he found out that Mike had did that, he said, why the fuck would you buy this guy a $20,000 ring? He said, well, that's nothing to me. I can afford that. He said, basically he did it for psychological reasons. You know what I'm saying? He said, now watch Game 4. When I'm driving to the basket, Charles ain't gonna do shit to me. He said, basically he did it for psychological reasons. And he said, in all honesty, I can't stand the fat bastard. He thinks we're great friends. And if you remember, that Game 4, he scored 55 points. And the last basket that he scored, he drove and was fouled by Charles Barkley, but it was a half foul. It wasn't a full foul. And remember, Magic Johnson said, Charles Barkley, instead of halfway fouled him, he should have fouled him all the way. And I think those are the things that Jordan used to do that kind of was manipulative. And, in hindsight, Jeff Van Gundy may have had a point when he referred to Michael as a con man. Not that Michael had to con people from a skill aspect because he was the best player in the league. It wasn't that. But Michael would do any and everything to have a competitive advantage. That's why I believe that story. That's why I surmised that the friendship was more Charles than Michael. I think Michael viewed Charles as an acquaintance. I think Charles viewed Michael as a great friend. Okay? I think they were friendly. But Michael did not really look at players, to me. He had a Kobe Bryant-like mindset. He didn't look at players as his friends like that. I think the few players that were really friendly with Mike like that, like really, and it was genuine respect toward each other, was Charles Oakley, maybe Pat Ewing. Okay? But definitely Oakley. I don't think Charles was on that same list as far as great friends. I don't know. Because I always hear Charles Barkley talk about their friendship more so than Michael ever did. But I have heard Michael refer to Pat Ewing as his friend and Oakley as his friend. But that's just a theory of mine. Tell me what you guys think.